Hey, this is Rob Math. Welcome to the Jimi Hendrix tutorial for Helix. Let's start by taking a look at the gear Jimi would have used. Jimi's main rig consisted of Marshall plexi heads with 412 cabinets. For pedals, he used a wah, a fuzz face, and an Octavia. He also added a Univibe later in his career, so we'll add this in as well. Jimi played a variety of guitars, but is mostly associated with the Fender Strat. Any quality solid body guitar with single coil pickups should be able to get you a similar sound. If you don't have a guitar with single coils, you can use a Variax to model this. Select the input block and go to page 2. Move Variax setting to per preset. Then change the preset Variax model to Spank 1. We don't need to alter the tunings for the majority of Hendrix's earlier songs, but if you need to, you can alter the tuning on the third page of the input menu. Now that we have the guitar sussed out, let's take a look at the amp situation. We're going to use the Brit Plexi Bright amp model. For the cab, let's choose a dual cab block using the 412 Greenback 25. For the first cab, we'll change the mic to a 160 ribbon about 6 inches back. For the second cab, let's set the mic to a U67 condenser with the distance set about 6 inches back. I'm going to start by lowering my drive. Then I'm going to bring up my bass and mids and bring down the treble and presence. Jumping over to the second page, I'm going to lower the bias. So now that we have our basic tone, let's take a look at the effects we can add. Let's start by adding a fuzz face to add more drive to the amp. Choose the arbitrator fuzz from the distortion category. Let's drop the fuzz and raise the level. The Octavia was another component in Hendrix's sound and was used on the solo for Purple Haze. It mixes in an octave above and adds some fuzz. Move over and choose the octave fuzz. Let's drop the fuzz and raise the level. Next, let's add some plate reverb. Move to the open block after the cabinet and choose the stereo plate reverb. To add a more polished sound, let's create a parallel path and put the reverb on path 1B. Lift the reverb by hitting the action button, and then drop it down to the newly created path 1B with the joystick. Let's drop the decay and set the pre-delay to full. Let's go to the second page and turn trails on so we'll hear the reverb decay even if the reverb is turned off. Now that we've dialed in the main components of our sound, let's take a look at other items to add in. I'm going to add a volume pedal in the first open slot. Jimi was also a big fan of the wah pedal, so we'll throw in a UK wah 846 in the next slot. Jimi used the Univibe for some great watery sounds, such as on Machine Gun. Let's go ahead and add one in. Move to the slot before the amp block and choose the ubiquitous Vibe. Let's change the rate to tempo-based by pushing down on knob 1. We'll also bring up the lamp bias a bit. Then, we can assign the tempo of the preset so that the time-based effects fit the tempo of the song. You can do this by touching the tap tempo foot switch 12 and adjusting knob 6 to 112 BPM. Jimi occasionally used a reverse delay effect in the studio for some great psychedelic sounds. Let's add one in. Let's change the time to tempo-based by pushing down on knob 1, then turning to the half note. We'll drop the feedback and raise the mix. Let's go to the second page and turn trails on, so we'll hear the repeats even if the delay is turned off. I also like to add an input gate at the beginning of the signal chain. I usually set the threshold between 80 to 70 dB and the decay around 100 milliseconds. Now that we have all our effects in place, let's look at how to assign them to the foot switches. Starting off, I'm going to select foot switch 6, which will send us over to the stomp mode. Starting from the beginning of our signal chain, you'll notice that the volume pedal is already assigned to expression pedal 2 and the wah is on expression pedal 1. Moving to the right, we'll see the arbitrator fuzz, which I want to assign to foot switch 8. Lightly touch the foot switch, then confirm the selection by selecting OK on knob 6. Then I'll assign the ubiquitous vibe effect to foot switch 9, the delay to foot switch 10, and the reverb to foot switch 11. So that brings us to the end of the Jimi Hendrix tutorial for Helix. Keep in mind that many things will affect your overall sound, so just use this preset as a starting point, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.